Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Orange County School Board's regularly scheduled meeting this Tuesday, January 25th, 2022. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Board members are attending in person and telephonically, so let me take a quick roll call. Let me start with Member Gallo.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Gallo. Member Lopez.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Member Cobert.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Member Gould.
Good afternoon.
Member Felder.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Casterdanel.
Good afternoon, Chair.
And Vice Chair Byrd.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Thank you. As a reminder, adults are required to wear face masks when they're inside the buildings, any building of Orange County Public Schools, which includes the chambers and the lobby. So we thank you all of you that are here with us today for wearing your masks with us. I also want to remind the public that board members are not engaging in outside electronic or digital communication during our meetings so that the board can devote their time and attention to the business before them. To my fellow board members, staff, anyone who may have an opportunity to speak into one of our microphones, please speak directly into them. They're pretty sensitive, and if you turn your head sideways like I occasionally do, it becomes very hard for people in the audience to hear and even harder for our YouTube viewers to hear. So we thank you for attending to that as well. We are going to begin with a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask if Member Felder will lead us in both.
Please stand.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Member Felder. Before we begin with our business portion of our meeting, I want to take a few moments to recognize some of our student athletes from Lake Nona and Winter Park High Schools, whom we are so proud to call champions of this 2021-22 school season. Please help me welcome Doug Patterson, Senior Director, Administrator of Athletics and Activities, and our team coaches who will share the highlights from our 21 sports season. Mr. Patterson, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the school board, and Deputy Superintendent Vasquez. It is my pleasure today to recognize a few students who have excelled in the swimming pool by claiming individual and relay FHSA state championships this fall. I will turn it over to Coach Joe Auer from Winter Park High School to introduce his students, and then I will speak on behalf of Coach Bennett, who could not be here tonight, regarding his student athlete from Lake Nona. Coach Auer?
Coach, welcome.
Thank you for having us. It's been a crazy season, but they put in a ton of work. Swimmers are crazy. They get up in the morning. They get up at 5. They're the first ones at school. They're the last ones to leave. It's crazy. We won the 200 freestyle relay and the 400 freestyle relay at the state meet. And This has pretty much been the best class probably in the last 25 or 30 years in the county. So let me go through a couple of these kids here. Lockett Bowley, she's a senior. She's a 12-time All-American.
Wow.
She's a multi-year academic All-American. She's signed with University of Alabama.
Why don't you stand while we're recognizing so we can figure out which of you we're cheering here for.
And she was second this year in the 200 freestyle. Next one is Isabella Lojeski. She's a 2-time All-American, academic All-American as well. And she's signed with Tulane University. Her sister, Adriana Lojeski, first-time All-American. She's a sophomore, very speedy girl. Cammie Semin, she is not here because she is out sick, but she's an 8-time All-American, academic All-American, and she's signed with Northeastern University. We also have Caroline Chasser. She's a 2-time All-American. She's also an academic All-American. She was 3rd this year in the 100 backstroke at the state meet. And then lastly, Erica Hirschman. She's a 5-time All-American. She's also sick, and she's a senior. So all these girls, they put in so many hours, and it's amazing what they've done. And just super proud of them. And I really want to thank Matt Arnold, our principal, and our athletic director, Andy Childs, for giving us the opportunity to swim in the environment that we do. So thank you all, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach, and congratulations, girls, an incredible accomplishment. Unfortunately, Jordan Agliano could not be here tonight, and neither could Coach Alex Bennett. He's coaching water polo currently at Lake Nona High School down the road, so he's unable to be here. But Jordan, we do want to recognize tonight. Jordan recorded the 4A state champion in the 100 fly, the third fastest 100 fly time in Florida history, 53 seconds. 2021 Olympic trial qualifier, and is signed to continue her education and swim for the University of Kentucky. So congratulations to Jordan, ladies from Winter Park High School, on all your accomplishments. Thank you so much for having us. We hope to see you recognizing our winter sport athletes soon.
Awesome. Well, we just want to take this moment to thank you and for just representing us so well and representing the district, your school, and for our ladies in the audience representing ladies so well, women so well. So we could not be more proud of you. I tell you what, whoever are the parents of the two girls that are in school, you guys are going to have a tough time figuring out where to be if they don't go to the same college to keep up with attending all of their meets. It's just, can the parents stand? Are the parents here? Of course the parents are here. What am I thinking? Thank you, Member Castro-Dental, because we know that these young men and women don't get where they are without great leadership at home and tremendous support at home as well as in the school. So, Coach, to you, congratulations, great job. Ms. Patterson, we're always so proud of you and what you do with our youth here. And there's so many ways our youth can excel, but I just got an email from a student's parent the other day who wasn't able to participate in the sport he wanted to in high school, and it made me reflect on my own kids and how important sports was to them during the time they were in high school, and how much more important it has become in their adult life as they look back on the principles, the values, the character that they developed and how that's carried them through. So cannot say enough about how important the sports are, and for those of you who help support these youth, God bless you. Do we have any board members who want to comment, or shall we move on? All right. Then we have another recognition. You all stay with us just a minute. I promise we will get you out of here early. For another recognition in December, the Learning Council, a research institute supporting digital education, celebrated awards at the 2021 National Gathering. During this event, Orange County Public Schools earned the District Innovators Award for being trend-aware and utilizing digital systems. It is not surprising to me that we won some awards, because I tell you what, when it came to COVID, as difficult as that was, I would say this district hit it out of the ballpark compared to every other district in the nation. So tell us a little bit more about this recognition. Let me recognize Senior Director of Digital Learning, Maurice Dragon, to the podium. Maurice, my friend, welcome, sir.
Thank you.
You know what? You can take that mic off of there, because we're not gonna pay you for the rehab you're gonna need after bending over to tell us what's going on. Thank you, sir.
I'll follow the directions to not mess up the next person who may come. So, good afternoon. The Learning Council is a research institute that focuses on the digital transition, user experience, systems, and organizations that will shape education's future based upon technology's evolution. The EduJedi Award honors districts that have worked to become future-ready while maintaining meaningful relevance and attachment to essential learning. Orange County Public Schools was honored with the EduJedi Innovator District Award specifically for the work done to distribute almost 189,000 devices, address technology onboarding for families, the creation of digital portals for both students and families through Launchpad, and the large collection of digital curriculum resources and services we have. The Learning Council specifically noted that Orange County Public Schools is a leader for innovation in the use of ed tech to engage students and the community, and in the progress we have made in achieving improvements in critical subjects. The council stated, and I quote, This kind of leadership is what other districts should be doing. This award is not for a single department or just the district office. This award honors the work done by every single administrator, teacher, staff member, student, and parent to fulfill our mission to ensure every student has a promising and successful future.
Excellent. Oh my gosh. All right, Maurice. I was supposed to say something. I don't think there's anything left to be said. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I tell you, when I think about how hard this district has worked for so many years to provide the resources that we need to our students, to create an equal playing field for all of our students, especially when it comes to technology. And the work that this board did when we had 5 new members to create a new strategic plan. But it's easy for the board to sit down and come up with ideas. It's a whole other matter for the superintendent, the deputy superintendent, and the entire leadership team, all the way down to every single individual that works here in Orange County Public Schools, to deliver on that. And this recognition is a clear example of doing just that. So thank you, Maurice. Thank you to you and your team. Dr. Vasquez, thank you to you and everyone under you for the great job that they've done in earning this award.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And now we have a number of proclamations. Let me start with the proclamation for February 2022 as Black History Month here in Orange County Public Schools. And I've asked Member Felder if she would read the proclamation. And also, she is going to be, with her district newsletter, she's going to be reminding her readers of some of the really valuable literature that we sometimes read and often don't spend the time on, and she's going to share with us a little bit of her insight on what that literature means. So, Member Felder, look forward to hearing from you today.
Thank you so much, Chair. Proclamation, Black History Month. February has been nationally designated since 1976 as a time to recognize and celebrate the contributions of Americans who are of African and Caribbean descent to our nation's culture and history. And whereas historian Carter G. Woodson and other notable African Americans launched a Negro History Week celebration in 1926, the annual observance grew to honor the achievements by Black Americans and other people of African descent. And whereas Orange County Public Schools' rich tapestry includes more than 206,000 students, with 1/4 of them being Black or of Caribbean heritage. And whereas in educating the children in the public K-12 system, it is appropriate that all children learn about, reflect upon, and cherish the contributions that citizens of African and Caribbean descent, both past and present, have made to our nation in the realms of the arts, business, civil rights, education, entertainment, military, music, law, literature, politics, religion, science, and much, much more. And whereas Orange County Public Schools offers a myriad of opportunities for students to commemorate and appreciate these contributions, especially through live musical and dramatic performances, lectures by local and visiting writers, displays and film presentations offered by our libraries, public and cable television broadcasts, and local museums. And whereas Orange County Public Schools also has several of its schools named after African Americans who have made a lasting impression on our local and national communities, including Dr. Cecil L. Eccleston, scientist George Washington Carver, principals L.C. Jones and William S. Maxey, and poet Phyllis Wheatley. And whereas the individual and collective impact of Americans of African and Caribbean descent on this nation and world is far too great and expansive to recount. And whereas in 2022, more than 150 years after slavery was abolished in this nation, our society is still grappling with racial inequality and injustice as we strive toward a more perfect union. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the School Board of Orange County, Florida, does hereby proclaim February 2022 as Black History Month in Orange County Public Schools. There are 3 poems that I'm going to share in my newsletter that's coming out for District 5. The 3 poems are And Still I Rise by Maya Angelou, I Too by Langston Hughes, and Harlem by Langston Hughes. And in the poem, we have been dealing with the pandemic. We've been dealing with a lot of racial unrest and just situations sometimes that have not been the most pleasant in America. So to the students of this district, and especially the District 5, I want to say to you, when you read the poem And Still I Rise, I want you to think about this thought. It doesn't matter how difficult life can be. We must maintain the fortitude to rise above our difficulties. When you look at the poem I Too by Langston Hughes, America is indeed the home of the brave and the land of the free. We are all one and the same, regardless of our race, our culture, sexual orientation, we're all one. When Black lives matter, all lives will matter. And in the poem Harlem, it starts off what happens to a dream deferred. There's a drop like a raisin in the sun. There's a festival like a sow and then run. There's a sugar over like a syrupy sweet. Maybe just sags like a heavy load. Or does it explode? Lorraine Hansberry chose the play, A Raisin in the Sun, the title of the play, based on the poem Harlem. When you look at the poem Harlem, no matter how difficult your situations may become, you must keep your dreams alive and afloat. Make sure that your dreams are not put off, they're not delayed, but rather they become a reality. I want to thank you for allowing me to share those thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Felder. And for anybody who maybe isn't familiar with those poems, although I think most of you are, it occurs to me that you might want to write to Member Felder and ask to get on her newsletter, which is coming out very soon.
Please.
All right, let me call on our Deputy Administrator to see if we have any newly appointed administrators. Deputy Superintendent, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we do. And I am so pleased to announce that Stephen Burson will be the new assistant principal at Lake Nona Middle School. Troy Wesley Bittner will be the new assistant principal at Boone High School. Leslie Monique King will be the new assistant principal at Meadowbrook Middle School. Karen Nielsen will be the new assistant principal at Thornbrook Elementary School. David Wenzel will be the new assistant principal at East River High School. And Rachel Schrimsher will be the new assistant principal at Hunters Creek Middle School. Congratulations.
All right, now we've come to that time in the meeting that I know everyone has been waiting for. And, oh, I'm so sorry. Member Lopez, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Congratulations to all the appointed principals, by the way. But before we leave, I would like to, I know that I saw Ms. Chang, the principal of Lake Nona High School, and I want her to stand up. I don't know, is Jordan here, Ms. Chang?
No, ma'am.
No, she's not here. But, I just want to let you know that I am very proud of him. And, you're doing an amazing job as a leader at Lake Nona High School. She's also a finalist as a Principal of the Year for Orange County Public Schools. So I also want to congratulate you for that as well. So I'm going to go to Lake Nona and say personally, congratulations to Jordan. I think that he did amazing. And it's very hard during the pandemic, try to be an athlete and try to be on top of our academics. It's very hard. It's very hard. And, this type of achievement, we have to celebrate and praise them and try to set as a role model to others. And so I'll be there and say congratulations personally. So thank you so much for everything. And also congratulations to Winter Park High School. Amazing, amazing. So the coach, congratulations. So I just want to make sure that I say this before they leave.
Thank you. Yes, that's what we were, just a good catch. Thank you, Member Lopez, because now I was about to release the parents, the coaches, and the student athletes. You all can stay with us the rest of the evening. We'd love to have you here, but if I were you, I'd go do something else. Celebration. Come on up here.
Okay.
Sorry, we all want to get in the picture.
Girl power.
I've got something for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, go take the picture. I got you. Matt, go take the picture. I got you.
Matt, Andy, come on.
Thank you again for coming downtown so we can all share in this celebration for at least a moment. All right, next one. Pardon me. Oh, let me recognize Member Byrd before we move on. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to take a quick minute to, hold on, I'm trying to open something, to announce that we have chosen our new principal for our brand new K-8 that is opening in Apopka. And we're very excited about this. It is Kelly Stanky is her name. She is fantastic. And what's so amazing about this is that she actually was raised right down the street from the new K-8 in Apopka.
Yeah.
She doesn't live in Apopka anymore, but her parents still live there. So she went to Zellwood Elementary, Apopka Middle School, and graduated from Apopka High School. So this is like coming home for her. So we are so thrilled that she's the one that's going to be opening our brand new K-8, and our community is so excited for this school and very excited to welcome her.
Awesome. This isn't like coming home. This is coming home. That is amazing. Wow. Wow. That is such awesome news. Thank you for sharing that with us. All right. We are going to now turn to our strategic plan update. And while all of these are important and interesting, I happen to be one of those people that loves audits. And so I'm really excited I'm serious. I just think it's so important. It's so interesting. It always sheds light on areas where we're doing well and areas where we can improve. And both of those, for a district like Orange County Public Schools that is constantly recognized nationally for always looking for areas and ways to improve, I always consider this to be a positive for us. So with that, I'm going to introduce Linda Lindsay and let her introduce the chair. Linda Lindsay is our independent auditor that reports directly to the school board, which is also, for those of you who might not be familiar, is rather unique, although not anymore, because the legislature has recognized the value of having an auditor that reports to the school board with a separation between the administration and and her office, although they work very collaboratively together and cooperatively together. I think that independence is invaluable. And so that was a new bill that came out just in the last, I want to say, year or two, that districts above a certain size have to have this same model. So I wanted to recognize our independent auditor, Ms. Linda Lindsay, and she can introduce our chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the school board, Dr. Vasquez. We're delighted to be here for our annual presentation to tell you a little bit about the world of internal audit and to touch base on some of the important aspects of our operation that it's good for you and for the public to hear about from time to time. It's my pleasure to introduce to you tonight the chair of our audit committee, Debbie Roth. Debbie is the Director of Product Development with the Institute of Internal Auditors. Now, those of you who read our reports may recognize the name Institute of Internal Auditors as being related to the professional standards which we follow in our department's practice of internal auditing. So having someone who is with the IIA on my audit committee certainly keeps us on our toes, but at the same time provides a wonderful resource for us when we are trying to keep the work sharp and right up to the moment of the professional standards requirements. So without further ado, I'll let Debbie take it from here and cover our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to say that we appreciate your support during our audit committees and that you are a participant in our meetings, and we welcome your participation in that, so thank you. Internal audit. The Institute of Internal Auditors, as Linda mentioned, we have our own mission, which we have out there for all internal auditors to follow to ensure that we are enhancing and protecting organizational value by providing risk-based and objective assurance, advice, and insight. Orange County Public Schools has their own mission, which we have displayed here, which is in line with the Institute of Internal Auditors mission and really adds value as to the value that they bring to Orange County Public Schools, that they are providing that independent, objective assurance services that add value and enhance the district's performance, accountability, and transparency. All internal auditors must follow the IIA code, the Institute of Internal Auditors Code of Ethics, and the members of the internal audit team for Orange County Public Schools are all members of the IIA. Internal auditors are expected to apply and uphold the principles: integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, and competency. Our Audit Advisory Committee, we operate in accordance with the charter that has been approved by the school board to allow us to oversee all internal audit functions of Orange County Public Schools. This provides the required independence for the internal audit function to operate within Orange County Public Schools and is in line with the state requirements. Our committee reviews all the plans, activities, staff, the organizational structure of the internal audit department. We make sure that there are no restrictions on internal audit to perform their duties according to the charter. We review and concur the appointment, replacement, or dismissal of the school board internal auditor. We are fortunate that Linda has been around for a long time and has done a great job, and we have not had to find a replacement for Linda. Our responsibilities also include looking at the effectiveness of internal and external audit functions, and we report at least annually to the school board, of which this is our annual reporting. To give you an idea of the members and makeup of our committee, we have myself and Dan Williams, who is CPA and a retired Senior Vice President of Internal Audit from Darden Enterprises, Darden Restaurants. Brian Paulson, he is our newest member, which you recently approved at the end of last year. He is responsible for Director of Capital Planning with Walt Disney Parks and Resorts. We have Kai Redlick. She is our Chief Technology Officer for CNL Financial Group and provides excellent insight into the technology aspect of the organization. And Tammy Campbell, she is a CPA partner at McDermott Davis and Company CPAs. This allows us to bring a very diverse set of experience to support Linda as the audit committee. We also have our ex officio members, which includes the school board chair and general counsel. Amy as well does participate in our meetings, and both Teresa and Amy were available today for our meeting we met this morning. Our audit activities include reviewing and approving the entity-wide risk assessment process and results that is embraced by the entire Orange County Public School System. We reviewed and recommend school board approval of the annual audit plan. Internal audit develops a plan every year, and we do review and discuss it regularly at our meetings. And we establish expectations with the external auditors at the beginning of their audit process, and we discuss the results at the completion of their audit, of which that meeting also took place today. We conduct an annual performance appraisal for the school board internal auditor, for Linda, on an annual basis. We monitor the department's performance against their annual audit plan and have discussions if anything is behind schedule or if anything has changed and may need to be added. We also perform a committee self-assessment of ourselves, and we review our internal audit and the audit committee charter on an annual basis so that we are able to make any recommendations that may be needed. This also allows us to make sure that we are aligned with the Institute of Internal Auditor standards should any changes come into effect that we need to consider. On an annual basis, we also meet with the CIO, the Chief Information Officer, and we discuss IT security-related issues. We also serve as an evaluation committee for any selection of auditors for school internal funds so that we are part of the process with the procurement department. And we review and accept, we have just recently reviewed and accepted a successful external peer review report of the internal audit department. An external peer review is the internal audit professionals' way of who audits the auditors to make sure that the auditors are in conformance with the standards, and that review was completed successfully at the end of 2021. A couple key points to share. Internal audit function is independent via its reporting relationship to the school board through the audit committee. It also is independent, as Chair Jacobs mentioned, with the reporting relationship with Linda directly to the school board. The annual audit plan is being accomplished with priority focused on higher risk areas. And the audit committee actively oversees the audit function and maintains a continuous focus on risk during all of our meetings. Other key points to consider: our objectives have been met for the audit committee and the internal audit department, as noted by the successful external peer review, which is similar to an accreditation. It is required by all internal audit departments to be reviewed every 5 years. This allows for Linda's team to include in their audit reports that their audit work is performed in accordance with the international standards for professional practice of internal auditing. One thing that we like to share is the best practices alignment. The CGCS recommends that internal audit departments maintain the basic best practices in order to demonstrate that they are an effective audit department. With this as part of the Great City Schools, Internal Auditing in the Great City Schools, it is a white paper that has been published. And this department at Orange County Public Schools does meet all of those expectations to be in alignment with the best recommended practices. And it would be most appropriate to share information on the internal audit team. The senior director, Linda, and 6 professional members of her team. We have on this team, which is something that is so critical, various certifications. The team, between them, they have 2 CPAs, which are certified public accountants, 2 CIAs, certified internal auditors, 1 CGAP, certified government auditing professional, 1 CRMA, which is certified in risk management assurance, and 1 CISA, a certified information systems auditor. All of these credentials come together to build a team that is able to address the risk areas within Orange County Public Schools. And the bios on the individuals are included in the annual report, which is published separately. At this time, we do have 1 vacancy on the internal audit team. They have been actively recruiting, and we hope we are successful in resolving the vacancy issue and having someone join a great internal audit team. One of the things we do track and monitor quite closely is open audit recommendations. We do track these by age. We have an aging analysis. We do monitor and we do follow up to ensure that action is being taken. So internal audit is very diligent about reviewing and monitoring those findings on a regular basis. And as issues come to light, we do have those discussions during our internal audit meetings, advisory committee meetings. One thing I'd like to share is the benchmarking chart. This is the number of auditors per 100 million of general fund budget. You will see that Orange County is 0.32. I like to share that Linda operates a lean and mean audit department. They are able to accomplish a lot with the resources that they have and be very successful in that.
She's still fairly nice, though.
She is very nice,
for the lean and
definitely. No, they're small, but they're mighty. And in internal audit world, that is so common. And it is so nice to see what they are able to accomplish year after year in order to continually improve the Orange County Public Schools. So that concludes our presentation, and I am available for any questions that you may have.
Awesome. Questions? Member Felder.
Yes, thank you for your report. And I've spent some hours with Linda. She's helped me to understand a lot about auditing because, you know, my math skills, my mother was a math person, not me. I'm the artist. And I appreciate the effort that you put together to put the presentation together. But I do have a question. You said that you're looking, you need one more person. You're missing a person or something? Did you say that in the report?
They had a recent
We had a retirement.
retirement, and so we are hoping to fill that one vacant position.
Do you, I don't know if I can ask this question, but I'll try, and if I can't, you can tell me no. Suppose there are people like within the district that perhaps have the skills of auditing. Will they be able to make application to that? Are you aware?
Yes, if they meet the qualifications. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll encourage them to do that with you all. That's good, because those positions are very rarely open, right? Yeah, they don't just get open all the time.
More frequently than I would like at present.
Oh, okay. Well, I thank you. All right, that was my question. Thank you.
But as was pointed out, she does run a very lean operation, so it is,
Yes.
there are not a lot of openings. Yes, when they come up, they're more frequently. We would love to have everybody stay as long as you have stayed with us, but they don't pop up very, they don't pop up very often. So if you have somebody who is in the field, new or otherwise, definitely have them reach out to our website, get on there, log on, fill out an application. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Member Gould, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you for this presentation. I have to tell you that this is one of the great tools in our school board toolbox because it does give us that independent look within about things we may question. And I have spoken to many other school board members who have asked questions about our longstanding internal audit processes and how they have accounted to the board. And we just have a great team. And I just wanted to say thank you. And I always appreciate the work that they do.
Thank you, Member Gould.
Great, thank you. And we will share the feedback, of course, with the audit committee the next time
Wonderful,
we meet.
thank you. We are so fortunate.
Thank
And
you.
we're so fortunate to have so many talented people that they just give up their time. They're highly valued time, and I say that from all of our time. Our time is the most valuable thing anybody, I always say, can share with another person, and it's the most valuable thing you can take from another person when you waste it. But, so I don't want to waste any more of yours, but I do want to recognize that these individuals also, if you look at what they contribute to their own organizations, they're highly, highly qualified. And having them contribute so much to OCPS is really a testament to how much they care about public education. And that's pretty awesome. Maybe we could get some of them to run for higher office. We want people at high levels of leadership that recognize the incredibly important value of public education. So thank you
so
for
much.
doing that. God bless you. All
Have
right.
a great evening.
We are going to move on to the approval of our agenda, and let me just confirm that there are no changes to the published agenda. Is that correct, Dr.
That's correct,
Vasquez?
Madam Chair.
All right, with no changes to the published agenda, is there a motion to approve the agenda as published? Was that a motion, Member Lopez? Motion by Member Lopez, second by Member Castor-Dental. All in favor of approving the agenda as published, please say aye.
Aye.
Member Gallo?
Aye.
Member Gould?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. We have no public hearings. Before I entertain a motion for the consent agenda, though, we do have a number of speakers on the consent agenda. So let's hear from the public before we take, even present a motion. I'm going to begin with Mr. Pollard, our president of OSPA, and he wishes to speak to the item 5.01, and this is personnel. And so, Mr. Pollard, welcome. Thank you for being with us today.
Good evening, Chair Jacobs, all the distinguished people in their places. My name is Ron Pollard, 1869 Emerald Cove Boulevard, Orlando, Florida. And you'll see me look down at this because I want to get it straight. I'm here to speak against the creation of those new positions in the Communication Specialist Department as a fix when the group asked for a comprehensive evaluation of their jobs, which we call a CPQ, that would have moved 2 people up to senior specialists joining the other 5 senior specialists. These 2 employees, along with the other senior specialists, created that department in 2017 to assist the OCPS Police Department. They handle all the emergency 911 type calls. To keep from raising these employees salary-wise, we're going to hire uncertified, unqualified trainees who after 1 year will be at the same pay level as those 2 employees, who also will be tasked with helping to train them. Think about the dissension that will be created in that department. Is this an effective way to address this hard-to-fill position, which OCPS has designated as critical? The union does not think this is a good idea. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And we have a couple of more comments on that, and then I think we probably want to hear from staff before moving forward. Terry, is it Stapleton? Yes. Thank you, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Do I have to give my address? I thought it was done away with a couple meetings ago.
Pardon me, sir?
I thought it was done away with a couple meetings ago.
Yeah, you don't have to if you don't want to, sir.
I've served telecommunications for almost 36 years now. I came here in 2017 with the other 4 communication specialists and five senior specialists. We built the comp center from the ground up. To date, all 5 communication specialists remain while myself and one other one are still here as a regular communication specialist. The communication specialist has been unfilled for over a year. We're essential employees. Our center is open 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We are here during hurricanes, COVID-19, and other emergency situations. We must be strong, or we are a strong group of people. Due to Section 119071 and 281.031, the Florida State statute, I can't divulge information on exactly what I do, but I invite you as board members to come and see what we do. Obviously, I'm not a public speaker. I handle it all by phone. we come together with the idea of moving the two, me and the other one, as a senior rank, and bringing the 5 in uncertified with no prior, some of them no prior prior work. Yeah, so to have the idea taken, but 2 of our members left behind, question especially since we've lost, or we are losing our senior manager, which is heartbreaking. I feel the school board needs to reconsider or consider all of us doing what's right and move all of us to the same position. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Michelle Stile.
Good evening, everyone. I'm not going to touch the microphone, even though I really want to, because I think right now it's bigger than me. I am one of the attorneys that represent OWESPA, the labor union that represents, in turn, the communications specialists. And I'll admit, too, I didn't know very much about what they do. And it is remarkable. So OWESPA wanted to offer its own quasi-legal assessment about the changes to the command center right now. So I'm going to begin with the liability. I don't know if you are all aware, but actually in their communications center, they have access to highly sensitive material that folks have gone to actual prison over. It's called the NCIC, FCI. See, I'm just laughing because I kept saying NCIS, but that's a TV show. So, but it's more interesting. So, if there's uncertified people in that room, even for them to turn on or try to log into that database, the other folks have to leave. So this is just an example of how highly trained these folks have to be. Also, and he mentioned, the senior manager is leaving, like Friday. And so they're going to be down that person. And so bringing in uncertified people at a time where the senior manager is not even going to be there also opens up liability. So only senior communications specialists can train new hires per their job description. And we like to try to keep in between our job description. So there will only be certain people in the command center. And remember, they're down employees. There'll only be certain people in the command center at that time that can actually train these folks. And you have to remember, with no senior manager, those staff members that are senior specialists actually assist the senior manager. So now you have no senior manager, you have the senior specialist having to step up in her absence, and also trying to train them at the same time. So the next thing I want to talk about is within liability is honestly what happens now, because OWESPA has brought this to your attention, so you're on notice that and I don't mean any disrespect, right? I really, really don't. I respect all of you as the conscience of this school district. So long story short, there's liability. Finally, I would just like to bring up that there is precedent for upping people's salary in order to retain really, really important people. So you all do have the power to do that. So I appreciate your time. I didn't realize how verbose I am. So with that, thank you.
You did a great job. Thank you. I think we have one more speaker on this matter on the consent agenda, and that's Chadwick Hardy. Yeah, no problem. How you doing today?
Lovely, and yourself?
Good.
Chadwick Hardy, 7999 North Lake Parkway. in metropolitan Lake Nona. So I got to wear a couple of hats here today. Unfortunately, forgive me, I put 5.01, but not really what I wanted to do. But first hat, I'm the Legislative Advocacy Chair for Orange County Council of PTAs. And we do have a couple of seats available for the Rally and Tally coming up next week. So anybody who wants to go, we'd love to have you. Number two, again, I'm coming as a parent, and with my PTA peeps over here from North Lake Park. Number one, we're all concerned. And again, at this point, I think it's probably best for us not to go and start advocating for, who we do and don't want to replace one of the most important pieces of our school that we've had in a long time. Lee Parker's now leaving our school. So, again, it's sad, but, we support him and his family and his decision. But I come here as more or less to say, please be very cautious about who we put into here and Sunblaze. Both are schools of innovation in Lake Nona. Most of you already know we're getting a charter school right there on Narcoossee Road. Again, we're going to have training wheels in our school because the principal that's coming in is going to be coming in a couple of weeks. So we'll get the training wheels between now and the end of the year, and if parents aren't pleased or aren't happy with the replacement, you could be looking at an $8 million hit to that learning community between us and Sunblaze. So again, we all take our school very personally. We love that school. It's right in the heart of our community. It is the heart of our community. Between that, it's so important to all of us, and that's one of the reasons we all took the time to be here today, just to say, please, please, please take that extra moment, make sure we've got the right people, don't be in a hurry, because again, we love that school. And one of the things that I tell people is I get a private school education at a public school price at North Lake Park. When you look at North Lake Park, Laureate Park, Moss Park, again, they're all such incredible schools. I know Johanna loves them. So again, it's very important to us. These schools are the core of our communities. So please, like I said, don't feel like you need to do anything in a hurry. Just take your time, and just, the right person is better than a quick hire. So that's all.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Absolutely. I'm not sure that, pardon me? Yeah, I'm actually struggling with how this is on the agenda.
I think I've figured it out while we were sitting here. There are actually 4 attachments on your item 5.01.
Okay.
And the first 3 speakers spoke on the classified salary schedule.
Yes, absolutely.
That is one of your attachments.
Yes.
The last speaker spoke on the administrative addendum, which is another one of the 4 attachments.
Yes. Okay.
So that's how it was related.
Dr. Vasquez, do you want to respond on this? Did you say you would like to?
Certainly.
Okay, please.
And thank you. We are so excited for Mr. Parker and the opportunity to open a new school. It's something that doesn't come around enough. And we also understand the impact that he has had on that community, as well as the other principals who are named this evening to open up the other 4 schools. We value our community and their input, and we will take that into consideration. We have a process that we will follow. It will be communicated to you probably this week. And we will, I guarantee that we will continue to keep you posted, and we will seek input from all of the communities that have been impacted by the relief school openings.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Before I call on Mr. Professor, I maybe sound a little defensive here. But one of the comments that you made, sir, about those schools in particular feeling like you get a private school education for public school price, believe it or not, I think most of our parents across the district feel that way, because this district is so dedicated to equity, and we put our money where our mouth is on that. So I know you meant no harm by that, but I just also wanted to share with you, if we were to take you around to because I know your community and you have just incredible schools, the cool thing is they're just all over Orange County. And so I'm just a little bit biased and a little bit proud of the job that this, and not for myself because I've only been here for 3 years, but the job that this district has done, both building and operating remarkable schools. People come here from other places across the nation. They come here from the north, and they start looking around for the private school they're going to send their kids to because they think that's what they'll have to do in Florida. And then they see our schools and they walk in and they fall in love. So it's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Thank you for your compliment, sir. Okay, Mr. Preußer. So we've heard some concerns, and what I'm hearing is for me, at least, a little different than I understood and a little concerning. Can you give us the district's perspective on this issue?
Sure. Thank you. I thought they would raise it slightly.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, and Dr. Vasquez for allowing me to come up here and talk about this, speak to you. First and foremost, the reference to the senior manager leaving. The senior manager is not leaving the district. The senior manager will still be in this building. She's just moving to emergency management. So in speaking with Chief Holmes about that, we want to try to have, a warm handoff or, transition as that individual, and she's sitting right here, moves over into that department. So it's not going to be a train wreck, meaning that the manager's just going to up and leave. So I want to address that first and foremost. Second, let me talk a little bit about the process. You heard CPQ, Comprehensive Position Questionnaire. That's what it stands for. It's a long-standing practice and process that's been in place here within the district. It's actually in the contract, and I'm going to read an excerpt from the contract to you momentarily. But I want to talk about the staffing component, current state and future state, with respect to the CPQ. So the CPQ is generated either by management or by staff. And basically what that means is the process then goes to compensation to Teresa Harder-Miles and her team. Teresa is part of Human Resources, and she's the director, obviously, of compensation. Lisa Shreth, who's one of the senior managers there, handles our CPQs. She does all the CPQs for us. She's impartial, and she looks at the whole process. And so what does that mean? That means that she goes to the department, she interviews staff, she interviews management. She takes a key understanding, or develops a key understanding as to what the different job classifications do, what is associated with the job description, and what are the needs of the operation. Well, I've spoken to a couple of you about this with respect to what's going on, current state. So you heard a little bit about the senior position, you heard a little bit about the specialist position. There are currently 5 positions at the senior level. They're all filled. Those are labor grade or pay grade 18, okay? In addition to that, we have the specialist position. There's 5 positions available from a headcount perspective, but there's only 2 filled, okay? And one of the gentlemen spoke tonight. He's in one of those positions. We have had a very difficult time filling those positions. The question is, well, why is that? Well, because it requires a certification from the state. You heard a little bit about what the employee does and the work that's associated with that. So right now, current state, we have 3 vacant positions with respect to the specialists. So, of course, there was some discussion you heard about, well, why shouldn't we just upgrade the 16s to 18s? Well, if we did that, because there's only 7 employees in totality right now, all 7 employees would be at the senior level. We would have no 16s, and if we implement what we're asking to do here, which would be to create an entry-level position, which is a 14, we would have no 14s. So the thought process for us is, hey, we haven't been able to fill the position for 6 months to a year. We need to have an entry-level position. And why would we want to do that? So I was up here a couple months ago talking to you about skilled-based hiring, right? You remember I was talking to you about IT and what we're doing with IT, and how do we grow? How do we provide upward mobility for our staff? We have to have a pipeline, right? We have to have a career path. We hear employees all the time saying, hey, listen, I want to be able to move up in this organization. I love working here. I enjoy the benefits. I enjoy the people that I work with, and I want to be here to benefit students. And so with that being said, the recommendation from compensation from Lisa was, listen, she denied the upgrade because that's what was asked by the staff, right? We want to upgrade the 2 16s to 18. When I say staff, the employees themselves. And that was denied. And so the recommendation came back to say, we believe that we should take, so again, there's 3 vacant positions, take 2 of those and move them down to a labor grade 14 so that we can get people through the door. Now, Mr. Pollard mentioned, well, the 16s are going to be training, the labor grade 16s would train the 14s. That's not accurate. The actual job description for the seniors states that that's the highest labor grade, the 18s, train both the communication specialist 1 and the communication specialist 2. It actually states that in the job description. And in addition to that, the senior manager helps with that process. So I just wanted to provide that rationale to you, like why that process and how that process works. And let me read to you just a portion of the contract. So again, the CPQ, the Comprehensive Position Questionnaire, has been in place for a long time. There's language in the contract that speaks to it, and here's what it says. An employee may request a review of an upgrade denial. So if an employee receives a denial for an upgrade, they can go back to compensation. This review shall be completed within 45 duty days and include an interview of the employee upon request. So compensation can sit back down with the employee and have that dialogue. The final disposition of an upgrade should not be subject to the grievance procedure. So again, we have had hundreds, if not thousands, of CPQs, and I know that because I sign them. They all come across my desk. Compensation sits with me. Compensation sits with the chief if it's from a particular area. Also goes with Dr. Williams. She has an opportunity to review it. And so we have intimate knowledge of what the CPQs look like and what the process is with specific job classification. So I wanted to, and hopefully I gave you enough information with respect to why we came up with a process outlined specifically to recommend a labor grade 14. And so I would also, unless you have any questions for me specifically, I'll pause there and wait because I have, obviously, Chief Holmes is here. He can speak to the ops. And John's here if you have any legal components or questions.
So, Mr. Foister, I have a comment and then a question. And,
sure.
So sometimes when there are issues that come up that have to do with labor relations, we hear the contract says we don't have to do this, or it's a management right, or whatever. And I want to express, and I don't think that's what I hear you saying. I think
no,
you're
of course
explaining.
not.
No, but I do want to clarify that when something is coming, just so that I can tell you how my decision-making process operates, and I suspect it's similar to other board members. So there are things that should be negotiated at the table and not directly with the board. I completely agree with that. But if something is not contractually committed to be negotiated, which I think we're all in agreement that this is not an issue that you need to negotiate with the union, but it's something that you're asking this board to change, then for me, what I want for a reason is the why behind the decision, which you have given that why behind the decision. So I appreciate that because, and that was what I understood from an earlier conversation today with Dr. Williams, that it had to do with how do you find people to fill these positions, and with the certificate process and the limitations that creates. We did the same thing in Orange County government with firefighters. We really had a huge problem with diversity. And the only way we could find a way to create the diversified force that we needed to represent, to serve this community, was to create an entry-level position where we paid people to come in and spend 6 months, and we took them through the training and onboarded them. But so similar, it sounds similar to that we're trying to get these people to the certified level, but we're going to bring them in at an uncertified level with a lesser salary, move them into that position as soon as we can get them certified. Is that what we're going to do? Will they
Yes,
then be
ma'am.
16s?
Yes, ma'am. That's
Okay.
right. I actually failed to mention that, which is two things. One, as far as the training and the tests are concerned, the district does pay for that for the employees.
So very similar to what we
It's about
did with the county. Yeah.
$375. The test is $75, and I think the training certification component is $300.
Right.
if the employee is able to pass those items, they would be moved automatically to a 16.
And that's, yeah, so when Dr. Williams explained it to me, it reminded me, we did it obviously much, much bigger scale.
Yes.
A lot more people in Orange County Fire Rescue than there is in this department, but the same approach, and it worked extremely well. And it gave people that would never have had that opportunity because they couldn't afford to go through the training themselves. They never would have, that was never going to be a career choice for them. And now not only are they in the fire rescue department, they have the opportunity to become a battalion chief and and work their way up. And so those were all good things, but the emails that I was getting doesn't resemble what you described. So the one issue that I heard raised today that I wanted an answer on was the issue, it's not NCIS, but that's going to stick with me too, the acronym, the sensitive data, and how do you deal with that issue? Because that is something that I think needs to be addressed.
I'll defer to Chief Holmes on that.
Thank you. And then I've got other board members now that have
Good evening,
asked to
Madam
be
Chair,
recognized.
board members, Dr. Vasquez. For me, this is both sad news and glad news. The sad news, I'm losing Christina to emergency management. But with that said, she started here at EM. She's got a heart for it, and I wish her well. She's done an absolutely fantastic job building out this team. The glad news is we have an opportunity. The opportunity is to possibly promote somebody from within or from without, bring some new, some fresh legs into this. Christina and I have been working really hard at building you out of district police from scratch. She's been here since 2015, and everything we've done has been hard. You got to kind of push it up a hill. You're starting from scratch. It's in a school district. It's not a typical municipality. I can go on and on and on. I'm not patting me on the back. I'm patting this lady on the back, but she's been right there with me, helping me write the policies, procedures, just doing a yeoman's job of running our dispatch, creating our intel unit. I can go on and on. I'll try not to. But so I'm glad for her. I'm glad for the opportunity it's going to open up for either an external or internal external candidate to come in. We talk about opportunity. Well, this creation of this position is exactly what we're trying to do. We get a lot of candidates, people that have great resumes, great background, they've got education, they have all kinds of things. They're not Department of Health dispatch qualified. They're not. And it's, it's an 8-week, 4-hour a day. You got to pay some money to do it. And if you don't have any experience in it, it's tough to just go take the class and comprehend what's going on and then pass it at the end. It's daunting. But if we hire them in like we're suggesting that we do with this comm center one position, we have them sitting with our senior specialists being trained as they go. 4 hours a day, the other 4 hours, you're on the computer, you're taking the online class. You're done with that in 8 weeks, you have an opportunity to prep. We're working with you along the way, so you know all the equipment, you have access to it, you see what's going on, and you can identify with it, and we think we'll have a higher pass rate than somebody that just took that training cold. Let's talk a little bit about FCIC, NCIC, Florida Crime Information Center, National Crime Information Center, and access to that. You have to take a special training. I have to take it every year just to go into my communications center and to be able to read the information that comes off there. They have an even higher level that they'll have to take to have access to it and actually operate it, because you've got to make sure you know what you're doing, right? But with that said, we put them through that training. They take it online. And it's really about security and all kinds of things like that. That's the important part of it that you need to know. But with that said, they're just not walking in there getting on FCIC, NCIC without having that training. They have to have that training before they're even going to be in that room. All right? So it starts right there. I'm not concerned about any liability associated. Remember, we started it from scratch. All right? We know what we're doing. We've got a professional team. We've been audited. We passed our audits. So I don't share the concerns that were expressed to you today. I understand where they may be coming from, and, and as a district, we always want to be concerned about liability. But I'm going to give you, with my background and experience and the team that we have working for us, we're going to make sure that there's not going to be any lapse in that. While we are trying to hire a new senior manager, Commander Randy Durkee, 6'10" Randy, hard to miss him when he walks in the room, right? Because he has to duck his head. He's going to be in charge of the unit. He'll oversee this. He's overseen dispatch in the past. He's been their commander all along. So we're in good shape. Where we're not in good shape is we have 7 people working 24/7, 365 to cover a dispatch, and it's arduous for them to do that. So it's exhausting. They're having to do all kinds of overtime. We've had COVID. It hits everybody. It's hit us. We have hurricanes and all these other things that they've mentioned. Yes, and we've been doing it really with 8 people. We've been down to 7 for a year.
So, Chief, I have 2 questions and then other board
By all
members.
means.
So you hire these 2 you create these 2 positions, you hire these 2 people. What happens if they fail the certification?
They'll have an opportunity to be, continue in some training, and they can take the test again. It's not a one and done.
Is there a
You can
limit to how long you're going to keep
Not
them
that I
on?
know of, Christina, is there a limit?
They have up to 1 year to certify.
Okay. And then this model of onboarding people through this process, having this lower level that doesn't have this certification sitting in this role, has that been done anywhere else?
Every law enforcement agency in the state.
Okay, we can't.
Christina said every law enforcement agency in the state does this. This is not something new that we've come up with. Christina was a trainer at OPD in their dispatch when she worked for OPD.
All right, let's hear from Vice Chair, and then we'll go to Member Felder, Member Gould, and Member Castellano.
Thank you. I just had a couple clarifications that I need. First of all, I think we made this clear, but he did say that they would be making the same pay grade, but they're not, right? The new ones. They're 16, and the gentleman that spoke is the mid-level, and then there's the high seniors, correct?
Correct. So
just wanted to make sure that information was
the communication specialist 1, which is the one we're proposing to add, is a pay grade 14.
Okay.
The other positions, communication specialist 2 is a pay grade 16, and then the senior is an 18.
Right.
So we're not impacting anyone's pay in any way, shape, or form with respect to current employees.
Okay. Thank you. And then, Chief, you said that the, I'm going to call it NCIS too now.
Yeah, I know.
And
FCIC, NCIC.
NCIC.
Easy for him
We
to
also
say.
have access to David, driver's license information, tag information, and things like that
Yes.
here in the state of Florida. Again, that's another security training.
Okay, that's a separate one
Separate.
than this 8-week course that they have to also take the test on?
Yeah, and I have to take it, on an annual basis. Is it every year or every 2 years, Christina, that I have to retake it? Every 2 years, but you have to renew it. They make sure you stay on top of it and you don't make any mistakes with it. They remind you of it. You have to take it to have access.
Okay, so how long does it take for this new employee, when they get hired, to be able to have that in C?
We would bring them in and put them through that the very first
The
week
very
they were
first
there.
week. Oh, it's just a 4-hour class. Okay, so then they have that. Then they're able to be in that room and see the information, and so they can start
Yes.
the training. Okay.
Now, please know that we do a comprehensive background. It's not just the background that's done here at the district, and I'm not belittling that piece of it when I say that. It's a more extensive background that we do on all of our employees, including our dispatch employees. So, we know we're getting somebody that we can trust and has a track record of being trustworthy.
Okay. I think that's it. I just wanted to clarify that training was different. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Member Felder, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I guess I have some, maybe some clarification, and maybe you've gone over, but I'm still sort of unclear because when the gentleman spoke and said that the salaries that were going to be different from, okay, I guess I'm just trying to understand, if it's sensitive information that they're going to be working with, why would you have inexperienced people there? Is there going to be a time when they come in as entry level? Do they still have the exposure of that sensitive material right at that level before they learn? I'm just not, because I'm trying to figure out, and I'm also thinking about maybe some of this negotiation probably should be at the table and not with us, because there's a lot of things that we're very unclear that we have to try to force and make a decision when there's so much, it's foggy, because we all are understanding, the need for raising salaries, and people need that, but this is sensitive information and material that these people are doing. So, and I appreciate the fact that the district will pay for training and all of that, but at what point, when at the entry level, do they have exposure to that sensitive material, that sensitive information? And then is it true because that when they get the information, the people that have already, the pay grade of 15 and 16, are they going to be getting paid the same amount of money? There's such a very, very gray area here. And I keep going back to the fact maybe all this negotiation discussion probably needs to be at the table, because we don't have enough. I don't have enough information to make a sound decision.
Okay, just to clarify one thing, this doesn't take place at the table, because this is an issue that this board decides whether we're going to create different positions. So that's why it's not happening at the table. Let's go back to Mr. Preuss.
Okay, wait a minute. So you say we make the decision to get another position, right?
We make the decision if we're going to, go ahead. Okay, let's hear from Mr. Palmerini.
Well, can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead.
So, Member Felder, there are certain functions that are exclusively managerial functions and district level functions. There's actually a couple statutes that I think you all were provided, but I do want to make sure that you're aware of them. So under 10-12-27, it's the superintendent's responsibility to recommend to the district school board duties and responsibilities which need to be performed and positions which need to be filled to make it possible the development of an adequate school program in the district. So it's the superintendent's responsibility to create positions, every position within this district. And they recommend that to you all as the school board. And then you all as the school board under 10-12-22 says the school board is required to designate positions to be filled, prescribe qualifications for those positions, and provide for the appointment, compensation, promotion, suspension, and dismissal of employees. So it is the board's responsibility to create those positions as recommended by the superintendent. This is not something that we do at the bargaining table. Creation of positions is a managerial function under 447.209 Florida statutes. So this is not something that we bargain at the table. Now, with respect to, the pay grades, we bargain the pay grades and how much those pay grade ranges are. But we get to create positions and designate pay grades for those positions.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Which is why it's perfectly appropriate, if I could interject, perfectly appropriate for Mr. Pollard and others to come here and approach the board on a decision we're going to make, just like any citizen can come before this board on any matter. But if it were something that needed to be bargained and negotiated, they'd be doing that separate. They wouldn't be
this
here
is not
talking
to
to
be,
us.
okay.
Right.
All right.
But they're obviously, they have an opinion. They work in this department. They have a reason to want to come to us and share that before we make a decision. They have a right to do that. They should have a right to do that. And it's important to us to understand their perspective, as far as I'm concerned, before making a decision. And it's important to have as much clarity about why we make decisions as we have.
And that's where I was going. I was trying to get the clarity. Before I make any kind of decision, I needed to understand what exactly am I making a decision on. And I've heard both sides, the gentleman, and I've listened to you. And I just want to be clear, of what am I voting on to make a decision about. That's why I asked that question. And so you've cleared it up that it's not about negotiation tables, but it's just and I understand, John, thank you for about the salary. We do have to, based on the superintendent's recommendation, we normally go along with that. But I just wanted to make sure that I understood what I am agreeing to or not agreeing to. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, are you cleared? I don't want to move on.
Yeah,
Okay,
go ahead.
okay. No, I don't want to move on if you have further questions. Okay. All right, Member Gould.
Thank you. I would just like a couple of clarifications and then I'll comment. So it is my understanding that we're being asked, and I know this, we're being asked to create these 2 new positions with this new pay grade, which actually creates some upward mobility within this department. I was a little confused on the testimony of our existing employees. Is there someone identified to slot into this position already? Will these be opened up? Can internal candidates and external candidates apply for this?
Mr. Preusser.
Thank you, Member Gould. To answer your question, the communication specialist 1 position will be open to both internal and external candidates, yes.
Okay, thank you. So, this is another one of these situations where we are at crosshairs with ourselves because of what's happening in the market. And there's good and bad in that, but wading through it is very painful. We need to create opportunities within our organizations for our employees to grow, but we also need to create market competitive, as best we can, we'll never fully compete, but market competitive salaries and ranges that allow us to open up that candidate pool. So just knowing the difficulties that are out there in multiple industries with recruiting, I think if we can put more tools in our tool belt for this and, work through internal issues and continue to work with the community and pressure the state to right size our staffs, these new positions become more seen as a positive thing because they do create upward mobility within our own organization. So that's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Member Gould. Member Caster-Daniel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Stile, did you have something you wanted to also share?
Is that okay?
I'm asking you, so yeah.
Yes, because the issue here, this is one of those rare opportunities where you all sit in and we actually bring to you the union's position and the district's position. It is very hard for me because, as you noticed, I have 3 minutes to try to explain to you all, whereas they have unlimited time, and I mean no disrespect to my colleagues. So I would just, if it's okay with you all, I would just like to react to some of those things, because I recognize you have the union over here jumping up and down, saying one thing, and they're over there saying something else. So here's the thing. He is right. There's over 100 CPQs every year, and a lot of them come from classified employees. You don't see us here. The reason why we're here for this particular position is because it's super, super important. Right now, I don't know how much I can say because of the nature of their job, of what they do, which obviously shows how important it is. But, okay, so I'm trying to put this a certain way. I don't want to violate the statute either. So I'll just say that the difference between the senior and the regular is, I have it right here, 1 paragraph. Literally, I went word for word. Every other word of the job description, as it currently is the same. I would love to tell you what the job description is for these new positions, but we haven't been provided them. So I don't know if they don't exist or if they're not ready, but it's also incredibly scary to me that you all would be voting on a job where you don't know what the job description is. And these are from 2017. The reason why the union is here is because these folks who, unfortunately, you didn't mention, these folks have been here since the beginning too. They're the ones that have actually been doing all the work. And so we feel that they should be moved up because it's a very unique situation. They've been here since the beginning. Think about all the institutional knowledge that they have, relationships with these folks. And I know Mr. Stapleton won't say it, but there were a lot of hurt feelings when they brought forth to the table. They said, hey, we have this great idea. We have these 2 awesome communication specialists. They've been here just like the other 5. They've remained when the other 3 left. Let's move them up to the senior position, right? Because they know so much. And then they can also, this is also important, only senior specialists can cover for other senior specialists. So there's a very small pool right now of who can cover if one of the senior specialists is out. So that's one thing. The second thing, per their job description, which I know OCPS labor standards is very, very concerned with keeping people within their job descriptions. They're not allowed to train them per their job description. Even though they're certified trainers, these folks are not allowed to train them. So now with the senior management position currently being open, you don't have that senior manager. So you have these seniors right now who have all of this extra work, which is, hey man, if someone is having a life-threatening situation, these are the people who answer the phone, and they're already tired because they're down all these positions. So the least we can do as a community is to move up these folks because they have all of the same qualifications. So thank you for allowing me that additional time.
I appreciate that. May I follow up?
Of course.
So I'm a little unclear. It sounds like we're being asked to approve 2 positions that we already have, just bringing them down from a level 16 to a level 14. So that,
adding,
I said yeses and nos, so that we're hiring for that specialist level 1, but they're not certified, so that we can get people into those positions, and then they have a year to get the certification, and then they get bumped up to a level 16. But then there's also another issue of we're out the person in charge, the senior manager, but we also want to bump up the current specialist to senior level, which is an 18. So
Okay, can we get Jim to?
I see some nodding
Let's
heads,
get
and I'm
Jim.
like, wait.
No, okay, Jim?
Let me answer the question.
Understand?
Yeah, thank you, Member Castrodano. Let me answer the question. So, current state, okay? Current state. You have 2 job classifications, right? Communication specialist senior. That's the pay grade 18. There are 5 employees in that position, right? Communication specialist, there's no number after it, just a communication specialist. There are 5 positions total, but there's only 2 employees in that position right now. We have 3 vacancies, okay? That's current state of affairs, all right? The 3 vacant positions we have not been able to fill because it requires the certification, which Chief Holmes spoke about for the state of Florida, I've spoken about, okay? So, after we did the CPQ, the recommendation was, because we have not been able to hire for 6 months to a year into those 3 vacant positions, which is the specialist, is to create a 3rd job classification and call it Communication Specialist 1. That will be a pay grade 14 position. There will be 2 positions open there. We moved 2 positions out of the middle position, right? We're renaming the original Communication Specialist to Communication Specialist 2. So the gentleman that spoke tonight and another employee, who I don't believe is here, they're both pay grade 16 employees. Nothing is changing for them. They stay in the same pay grade. The only thing that's changing is the name of the position. It is now called Communication Specialist 2. We are trying to hire for Communication Specialist 1. So what you're voting on tonight in the agenda is to create a new job classification called Communication Specialist 1 at pay grade 14, and we are renaming the current position to Communication Specialist 2, which remains at a pay grade 16. Okay. Now, with respect to the senior position, which is a pay grade 18, I think what you heard Chief Holmes say was, with the senior manager leaving, there could be an opportunity for an employee who's in that position to potentially, if they want to, apply for that position and potentially move into the senior manager position. I don't know if any of them are interested. I don't know what that looks like, but that is an opportunity potentially. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I have
Sorry.
another one we're basically trying to decide if it's safer to have 3 vacancies remain in those positions or bring on 2 others that we train for the next year to fill those positions.
Well, you still have a totality of 3 vacancies. 2 are just at the labor grade 14 and 1's at the
Right.
16.
But the addition of these 2 positions is just an attempt to get more in, and as soon as they are certified, they have up to a year, they
Yes.
go on to the next, to 16.
Yes, we are trying to create a career path, upward mobility, trying to have that opportunity to have a pipeline so that we can fill these positions that haven't been unable to be filled for quite some time.
So one last question. Once these people get to a level 16, and you have all three of those openings filled, you will have only level 16 employees. Is that right? You would have those 5 level 16 employees.
If you filled all 3,
If you
yes,
filled
and
them.
they all achieved what needed to be achieved to move to 16, yes.
You
That
would
is
not
correct.
have a continued open position at 14. You're not continuing, you're not going to keep that
Only
low.
if head count was approved for that, yes.
Okay.
Additional head count,
Okay, thank you.
yes.
Thank you. I hope my last question. So I'm comfortable, based on everything you've explained about the control that will be in place, the training that takes place, the extensive background check and review before we would bring anybody into the room even, and the fact that this is how law enforcement across the state brings on new personnel. This is not some crazy pilot program that we're launching. I'm comfortable with the approach that we're using with regard to the 2 new positions. I have a question based on the comments that we've heard. So we have 2 employees that are level 16 that have been with us, from what I understand, from the beginning or near the beginning. Why aren't we considering moving them into a level 18 and having 7 positions at level 18 and 3 positions at level 16, and then having a total of 7 people at level 18 that can help train the 2 or potentially 3 new hires? Because theoretically, we could fill these 2 positions with 14s that hopefully in 6 months or less move up to 16s, and then we find another person at 14. So we have these vacancies, we're running short. Why wouldn't we take the people that we have, put them in a slightly higher position, slightly more pay? They've been working, I would say, in the positions they've been in, we'd have more trainers. Why aren't we doing that approach?
Well, I believe the discussion was around the fact that you would have all of your employees sitting at a labor grade 18 and nothing below that.
Well, no, you wouldn't. I mean,
Well,
you have five right now, right? And you're going to go to 5 positions. You're going to have 5, you have 5, and you have 2. But at some point, the 2 will go away, and it'll be 5 and 5 again. In this case, you would have 7 and 3. So you wouldn't have all of them.
That's based on the predication that you could recruit and fill the positions on the bottom. What I'm saying is current state,
Well, I
right?
mean, everything is predicated on you're going to fill the positions at the bottom. So you're either going to have 5 positions at 16 when everything gets filled, or you're going to have 3 positions at 16 and 7 positions at 18. It just, when it was brought up that so one of the things I liked about this, besides the fact you're filling positions you need to fill, is that this pipeline idea, and you've made the case that we want employees to have an opportunity to grow when they're here, right? And we do. We all want that. We want We want to keep people by giving them opportunities for advancement. But what I'm hearing is that we've had these same people at 16 and there's no opportunity for advancement. Now there's one opportunity, because you've got this emergency management position. And so one person's going to go up from an 18 potentially, or somebody from the outside is going to come in. Maybe one 18 is going to move up, and then maybe one 16 is going to move up. So that's a difference. So why wouldn't you move both of them up is my question. I mean, that's my question.
Well, it's really not my decision as the HR, head of HR. Again, we have a process specific to how we determine whether or not someone should be, their pay should be increased.
Well, Chief is kind of chomping at the bit.
Yeah, I mean,
to
from an
answer the
operational
question.
perspective, I'll let him answer that. But
Yeah, because he looks like he wants to answer.
just from a, should we upgrade, I'm just going to go by the process that's currently in place.
Right.
If we are, or if there is a request that is made, either by a supervisor or an employee saying, listen, I believe I should be upgraded based on the work that I do. And typically, that would be done in conjunction with determining, did something change in your job description?
Okay.
Has your job description changed over time? Meaning that maybe it's not just the volume of work, it's the actual work itself. What has changed from the start of the job description to where we are today? And that's all evaluated in that CPQ process. And so what I would say is that the compensation team did a thorough analysis of that, and it was not deemed appropriate to take, even though the employees had been there for a long time, we look at each individual job description to determine whether or not there has been a change, a substantive change, right, to be able to justify moving an employee up to a different
I hear
labor
what you're
grade.
saying. What I'm suggesting is right now you're going to have additional training. You've never had a situation where you brought somebody in that didn't have a certificate. So you're going to have more. You're going to have more of a need for a trainer than you had before. What you've described is only 18s can train. So you have 18s doing their job. You have 18s doing training. You add 2 more 18s. You have more capacity for training. So the job description would change, yes, but what I understood also, unless what I heard was false, was that the 16s already are certified to train. They're just not in a position where that's part of their job description. So by putting those 2 16s in an 18, they would be able to take on some of that training capacity. So asking that question, because it's been, I wouldn't know to ask the question, but it's been brought up.
Sure.
And I had one more important question. Oh, the other thing that does concern me, is what are those job descriptions? And it does concern me. The job descriptions should be really clear. And if they're not really clear, this decision doesn't have to happen tonight, but I'd like to know that the job descriptions are very clear. And
I have the job descriptions. They are very
pass them
clear.
out to us?
They are very clear.
Okay, they're very clear?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm happy to share them with you if
Could
you
you?
would like. Sure.
Yeah,
I
thank
have
you.
them right here.
And then-
I only have one copy of each, but I'm happy to share.
Chief Holmes, you want to,
Go ahead, Chief.
Okay, this is the hard part for me.
Yeah.
Because I have to take the people that we're talking about out of the equation and talk about my organization and my structure.
right,
Remember, really not everybody, and again, I take them out of this equation. Not everybody's cut out to be a trainer, to be frank with you. So we're going to set it up where we've got most of our positions set up to be trainers and only a couple of positions that will be bringing them in to go to Comm Center 1. So I'm kind of setting myself up for a problem in the future. There's also certain responsibilities that you dole out to certain employees that just earn the supervisor's trust. They're hard working, they're dedicated, whatever it may be, they get certain responsibilities doled out to them because they earn it. They show that initiative. Some people aren't so much that way. If you give it to me, and believe me, with 34 years in this game, you're going to have those that excel, and you're going to have some of those, and take my people we're talking about right here tonight out of that equation. But I'm just saying, I have to manage this on into the future. It's good to have a stratified, you've got an opportunity to move up from the training position to the COM 2 to a senior, and then all the way to the manager. I mean, I can't think of a better situation for us to encourage excellent employees, come in on time, don't have to talk them into taking overtime, don't have to, deal with some of the problems that can come. And working in a dispatch. Remember, this is a small room with a couple of people, and you just hope and pray everybody gets along because they spend a lot of time together. Right? So having experience in doing that, I ask you, board, please consider our recommendation. It's wise, it's tested, it's being used at other locations, other police departments around, and fire departments and the comm centers around the country and here in the state of Florida. I just ask you to please seriously consider it and try to take, I understand the pay thing, and I don't want to begrudge anybody receiving additional pay. Right? Please, I'm not doing that. That's not why I'm taking the position I am on this.
No, so, thank you. Thank you, Chief. So let's go to Member Gould.
Thank you. I think we're mixing apples and oranges, and I would like Mr. Palmerini to be very specific on our role. I believe our role is to approve the availability of different levels of position. Whether who should go into those positions is operations, or whether people should be promoted into those positions is operations. And I feel like there may be an issue here, but what we're being asked to do tonight is not negotiate that piece or make those decisions, because I don't think that's our role. But if we should have these varying levels of positions so that we can create upward mobility and match the best practices in these other agencies, as Chief Holmes talked about. So could I have Mr. Palmerini please clarify what the board's role in these positions is?
Madam Chair?
Palmerini, you recognize, sir?
Thank you. And you can hear me, right?
We can hear you wonderfully.
My microphone doesn't have the nice little red light to indicate when it's on or not, so I apologize. Member Gould, to your point, this has gotten intertwined here, and I need to untwine it. The role of the school board tonight is to designate positions to be filled. That is your role. What we're talking about with respect to the pay issue is a separate contractual process. There is a process by which an employee, in this case we have two folks who are communication specialists who are grade 16s, they want their position upgraded. And under our contract, it says a supervisor can request for that review or the employee can request for that review. And then we look at it. I think we look at it for 30 days up to a period of 60 days. If that process fails, then under the contract, an employee may request a review of an upgrade denial. That's another 45-day process. But once that's done, the final disposition of an upgrade shall not be subject to the grievance process. This is a separate and distinct process completely from what this board is being asked to do tonight. The superintendent has said, for the effective operation of my organization, I need these two grade 14 positions, and I am asking the school board to create those positions. The board's role in this case is to act on the superintendent's recommendation and say, should these positions be created? And you all will sign off on the creation of those positions. That is the board's role tonight. Nothing more than that. The process about upgrading the 16s to an 18 on their pay is not before this board tonight.
Mr. Palmerini.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
And Member Gould, thank you both. Member Gould, anything else?
No, I just wanted to make sure that was clear to everybody because we were mixing apples and oranges and pears and bananas.
No, thank you for, for bringing that issue to the forefront. Appreciate that. And Mr. Palmerini, thank you as well. Let me go to Member Byrd, Vice Chair Byrd.
Thank you. And thank you, Member Gould, for making sure that that was clear. And while I do want to make a couple comments about what we discussed, I do also feel that we are being asked to create these two entry-level positions by the superintendent so that we can get people in there to get started training so that we can get them to that communication specialist 2 position, which has been unfilled for a long time. So I would be in favor of agreeing to the superintendent's recommendation there. With that being said, I do have concerns about the fact that 2 people have been doing the job of 5 people for probably the last 6 months to a year. So I can understand their disappointment with not being approved for the pay grade increase, because it seems like their job description has changed over the past year, if they're doing more work. And also, you know, like you said, Chief, it is good to be able to have the system where we've got 14, 16, 18, there is room to grow, but how do they grow then? Because apparently if the level 2 specialists have been there since the department started and they haven't moved up, then, you know, that's concerning. I mean, I understand if there's not a position open, there's not a position open. And this is all operational. So, but I'm just putting it out there that, you know, we have the same issue with other positions. We have this all the time. So, you know, I just want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to respect these employees that stay with us for a long period of time, because they deserve it. You know, it's easy to just change jobs. There's a lot of jobs out there available right now. So if we don't respect them, they're not going to stay with us. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on that whole thing, but that's neither here nor there for this vote tonight. So for this vote, I would be in favor of the superintendent's recommendation.
Dr. Vasquez, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was going to point out what Board Member Gould said, is that you are being asked to approve the job title and the title change, not the number of positions. That's certainly something that staff could have discussions about separately, but for the purposes of tonight's agenda item, it really is just the approval of the job title and the title change.
Okay, no further board members have indicated the need to be recognized at this time. Before we move on the consent agenda one way or the other, I do need to, we have one more speaker, and that's Stefana Farrell, and the item is 8.02. Is Ms. Farrell still here? Ms. Farrell, I do want to make sure that this is on curriculum and we're not on the library book issue.
Not library book.
Okay,
no.
thank you.
Yes. So in following my earlier pre-meeting request to not obey in advance, I want to speak to the approval of literary text happening today. After sitting in on the work session last week and hearing that we were one of 5 early adopter districts of the Parents' Bill of Rights, I am worried. While I heard some board members share their very real concerns for teachers regarding the additional administrative duties, I didn't hear enough concern for the students that the adoption of this policy is sure to impact. We already know from sitting here in these chambers that there are parents that confuse American history with CRT. They don't see a need for diverse books and education in the classroom, or that choose to believe politicians over their pediatricians when it comes to their children's well-being. We also know that there was pressure to remove literature from the library because one parent in particular has concluded it is inappropriate for all high school students, regardless of their background or level of maturity, to have challenging literary works available to them. So as you vote today on the English literary texts and materials, I ask that you please make sure you are not self-censoring the reading list for classrooms based on the fears that the most restrictive parents among us might take issue. As decided in Tinker v. Des Moines, a student does not shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate. Please do your best to protect these rights for all children under your care. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Farrell. All right, is there a motion on the consent agenda? Motion by Vice Chair to move approval of the consent agenda. Is there a second? Second by Member Lopez. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Member
Aye.
Gallo?
Aye.
Member Gould?
Aye.
All right, thank you. We will move on to information. Dr. Vasquez, do we have anything from the superintendent's office?
Yes, I have 3 things I would like to share this evening. First, during the month of January, principal supervisors conducted roundtables for teachers who teach students with disabilities. Roundtables for general education teachers will begin in February. Additionally, principals will be meeting with staff to seek input on potential budget savings that would yield additional dollars for raises, and also asking them to identify what things can come off of their plates without negatively impacting student achievement. Principal supervisors will also gather this information from principals, and we look forward to sharing the information garnered from these meetings with the board in the near future. Second, I'd like to speak to attendance. Out of an abundance of caution, some parents chose to keep their students home these past few weeks due to the high number of positive cases of COVID-19. Absences were excused if students were completing their assignments. Our positivity numbers have declined, so students really need to be in class to optimize their learning and to be counted present. Additionally, it's extremely difficult for our teachers to manage so many students at home for an extended period of time. Therefore, beginning January 31st, any parent who wishes to continue to keep their child at home will need to enroll in home education. We will be sending out a communication to all of our families tomorrow, alerting them of the transition. Third, I'd like to talk about the upcoming Parent Academy this Saturday. We are so excited and honored to have a keynote speaker, a internationally renowned motivational speaker and author, Dwayne Bryant. He is the founder and CEO of InterVision International and the author of The Vision, a social-emotional learning curriculum series. Mr. Bryant is an alumni of OCPS. Oh, and Board Member Felder's student. I didn't know that. He attended Lake Sibylla, Maitland, and graduated from Winter Park High School. And so we are so excited to have him kick off our Parent Academy this Saturday. Additionally, parents will be able to engage with district and community leaders to discuss children's transition to the next grade, and to also develop a plan, a post-secondary plan before they graduate. We are hoping the parents will join us. It is virtual, and you can register at the event at parentacademy.ocps.net. And finally, another opportunity for our parents. We have been using the platform Engage 360 to provide additional resources and supports to our family. And one of those that has been very popular is our Lunch and Learn series. And it's hosted through our Facebook Live and focuses on timely topics for our families. We've had 3 of them. The first one talked about connecting families with our digital tools. The second one was parenting in a digital world. And the third one focused on dealing with mental health during the holidays. Our fourth one is scheduled February the 3rd at noon. And the topic is finding your fit, making choices for the next school year. So we hope parents will tune in to the Facebook Live. If not, the recordings are available for view. That concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I think Member Castor-Dental had a question or a comment.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Vasquez, I want to just clarify some of the points you just brought up with the roundtables. I know we went through this whole budget experience lately. So you mentioned I think in the teacher roundtables, that you would be kind of soliciting input from our employees about where they think we can save some dollars, or is that not part of the budget?
The principals will be meeting with their staff, all of their staff, to gather input on possible budget savings that could be used for salaries. The roundtables are going to ask 3 questions around teacher supports, what are their needs, and those are conducted by the principal supervisors.
Okay, who's the principal supervisor? Is that the area superintendent?
The area superintendent, the chief of high school, and the associate superintendents.
Okay, so just so for the people who are listening and here, and for my own edification, every school is going to have this round table or discussion with their principal about their workload and ways that they can be, things that they can find that can take off their plate at the school level. Is that?
So every principal will be meeting with their staff, teachers, and classified on 2 areas. The first, to identify possible budget savings that we could then use for raises. And the second will focus on what can we take off of your plates that would not negatively impact student achievement. And every employee at the schools will have that opportunity. We are also going to have our chiefs conduct that same exercise with their staff at the various district office locations. And our principal supervisors will also be doing it with principals.
Okay, that is so good. So this is an opportunity for teachers and staff to weigh in with ideas. I know we've been getting some ideas that have been sent to us, and we're looking at the feasibility of some of those ideas. But this is an opportunity for teachers to be heard, and there's not going to be any retaliation for ideas that they present if they say, I don't like it when you do this, principal, or, I mean, I know that it's going to be, it's not always easily communicated to your principal what things you would like to see reduced, but I think there's a safety in numbers kind of feeling, and we're asking you to share. But if they feel like they can't share with their principal, is there someone else they can share with? Or if that communication is not really trusted?
So the roundtables that are being conducted by the principal supervisors will also give them an opportunity to share things that are going well, things that are causing them additional stress. I think Dr. Jenkins says, what keeps you up at night? So if
lesson plans.
Okay, so if teachers do not feel comfortable sharing the information, and that I think would go to what can we take off of your plates that would not negatively impact student achievement, they will have an opportunity to share that with our principal supervisors. And as with the ESC roundtables, every teacher will get an invite. Because there are so many more general education teachers, we're also looking at providing them a survey to be able to answer those 3 questions in the event that they are not able to participate in the virtual roundtables with the principal supervisors.
Okay. And one last question. These are going to happen in February?
The roundtables will take place in February, and we expect that all schools and all divisions will be able to meet with their employees during the month of February to gather the information about cost savings and what we can take off of their plates, and we can report back to the board hopefully early March.
Okay, I just want to make sure everyone knows this is your opportunity to share your ideas. Thank you.
And just a quick follow-up on that, Dr. Vasquez. So when the area superintendents conduct roundtables, I wasn't clear whether that was roundtables with the principals or roundtables with teachers and principals.
So the teacher roundtables have been only teachers. We do not invite any of the administrators, principals, or assistant principals in order to give teachers an opportunity to share in a more comfortable setting what their ideas are. And most of those are anonymous because they are invited, but in a virtual environment, as they are speaking, there is just someone that's taking notes and capturing what they're saying. They're not capturing their name.
Oh, I feel very good about that. One of the things that I did when I came in as mayor is I held, not roundtables, but I held forums with every facility. So our corrections, our fire rescue. There were hundreds of employees that attended each one, but no managers, no supervisors, and asked the basic question, what could we do better? And the feedback was just so much more frank because they could point out things that we could do better that maybe they had asked their managers to do and they weren't doing for one reason or another. Working out in the field was another one of those examples where you were like, oh gosh, there's little things that could go a long way. But as much as we would love to have a culture where employees didn't feel intimidated to make suggestions, that doesn't always exist everywhere, which I know is one of the reasons that Member Kester Dental is asking it, and I always know that's a possibility. So I did not understand until you just clarified that these roundtables taking place virtually are not taking place sitting at the principal's conference room and having to say, boy, if you could have done this better with the budget last year, we'd have more money, which is just difficult. So anyway, I'm very, very glad to hear that. Thank you. Member Colbert.
Dr. Vasquez, I'd just like to express my gratitude for, in such a proactive manner, following the direction and the desire that the board expressed just within the last few weeks. I'm grateful to you for that. And it does reinforce the fact that we want this organization to be an organization of continuous improvement, and you are executing that. So I just want to thank you.
Good job. Member Lopez, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say to Mr. Chadwick, thank you for coming and for the other members of the PTA, because when you have parents talking so high about a principal, imagine, I know that, Dr. Parker is amazing, and, we have to support him as well, but I know that yes, I know that the superintendent is gonna hear to our constituents, is gonna hear your voice, and I know she always think about the community. So I am very pleased that you are here. But I think that it's very important and crucial because that's the way it's supposed to be. Emails and speaking up at the school board meetings, and also on behalf of the new position, from what I see is that, from what I heard from the district, is that going to be beneficial for our employees, and I have the hope that we're going to see employees growing up on that position. And thank you so much for the classified employees for coming today and speak up and present their opinion, because it was very, very important for us and clarify a lot of questions, about the description and about their concerns. So I think that, it's time just to following up and see what happened. But I hope that everybody is going to be at least respected and valued on those positions. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Lopez. Vice Chair.
I just had a quick question about your report. Actually, it's not even a question, it's a comment, because you asked all my questions, Dr. Castrodental. The Lunch and Learns, which, by the way, are just fantastic. And I love the fact that they're all here, easy to find on the website, which, by the way, is right under the current family tabs. And it says very easily, academies or, things that they can log in and get information. So my question or my comment is, I'm assuming that when this new one, the new Lunch and Learn comes out, we'll be sending some communication to families. Can we also include in that where they can go on the website to find these recorded sessions? Because a lot of families do not know the resources that are available on the website for parents and for families. So I think the more we can keep getting that message out to them that these things are here for them is beneficial.
Yes, and Dr. Bradshaw is here, and I believe she is taking notes. So we will make sure that our an advertisement of the Lunch and Learn also includes where they can find the information.
Thank you. And then, Chair, I have a comment that's not related to her report, so I didn't know if we want to keep moving with the consent agenda.
I tell you what, we've done the consent agenda. I'm going to hear from, I'm going to ask for any comments from board members when we are finished with Ms. Emval's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I sent you an email yesterday. We have our special impasse hearing tomorrow at 4 o'clock. The CTA has asked for an additional 10 minutes for rebuttal on top of the already allotted 45 minutes to present. The district's position is that the CTA can reserve its own time for rebuttal out of the already allocated 45 minutes. And I need to bring this up to you for a decision so I can then convey it to the parties.
All right, thank you. If I could chime in first, when there were only two issues to be resolved, 3 sentences. When I learned that the union had withdrawn their rejection of one of the 2 issues, what went through my mind was we probably don't need 45 minutes on one issue and I think 1 sentence. So I thought about bringing that back to the board, but I actually then thought, you know what, it's really not worth the debate. Let's just stay with where we are, 45 minutes, I think, and let's just not rehash this and stick with what we agreed to. So I'm a little caught off guard by reducing the number of issues from 2 to 1 and then asking for 25% more time. So I will tell you in no uncertain terms that I think 45 minutes is more than adequate. There's a lot of importance in the safety manual and safety issue, but the actual issue that's outstanding is a very, I think, relatively simple issue to decide on. I don't have a decision yet. I want to hear from both sides, but I don't think it should take more than 45 minutes, including all rebuttal time. I really don't think it should take 45 minutes, including all of our question and answer, but we've offered the 45 minutes. I would stick with the 45 minutes, but I wouldn't expand it, my personal opinion on that. Member Covert, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I am inclined to agree with you. I go back to when we established our procedures, which we have already established our procedures and protocol. We talked about at the first hearing how there were 4 topics, and that broke down to 23.5 minutes apiece. Now we're down to 1 topic, 45 minutes. 1 sentence, I do not see how that cannot be sufficient. And this board has been very fair. If you look at precedent of the first hearing, when they said we think we have more time, we gave more time. We really, I think, have been fair, but we've established our protocols, and I do think it's sufficient and should not change.
Right, thank you. Member Vice Chair.
I agree. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any board members of a different opinion? Member Castellano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am not of a different opinion. I just wanted to just state that we are down, agree that we are down to 1 item instead of the 2. And I don't think it will necessarily help either side to extend the time. That's just you don't want to upset the judge, so I think we're good with the time that we already have allotted. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Castellano. And I just, want to make sure that I think it is simple. I don't think it is easy, if that makes any sense. The sentence is a simple sentence. The decision isn't easy. I am very interested in hearing both sides make their arguments. I just don't think it's so complicated that it can't be sufficiently handled in under 45 minutes. So with that, I'm confident that we are giving adequate time for both sides to make their arguments regarding how we should resolve that single matter. With that, I'm going to ask if there are any other issues that board members want to bring to the table. And I know that Member Byrd has something she wants to bring to the table. So Member Byrd, you're recognized first.
Thank you, Chair. I had a conversation with General Counsel this week about proposing that we possibly get a standing date on our calendars, maybe once a month, for a workshop. And specifically starting a workshop at in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. And the reason I propose that is that every time we have these policy workshops, I always hear the General Counsel say, it's on our list, it's on our list, or, and when I ask, well, why don't we have more scheduled? Well, it's just really hard to coordinate all the calendars of all the board members and get dates. Well, I think we could alleviate all that if we had a standing board workshop day once a month, maybe even more if we could, but that's a whole other topic. Starting at 9 in the morning, so we're all wide awake and fresh, and it could be a half day, a full day, whatever, would be the pleasure of the board. But I just think that if we could do that, it would be a great way for us to really book it through these policies that we really do need to revise, all the ones that we've brought up here at the table that we want to take a look at, that it takes so long to get to. I think this might be a good way for us to get through them faster, and I think it would make it more efficient.
All right, great suggestion. Let's hear from Member Gould, and I don't know if it's on the same matter or a different matter, and then Member Colbert. Member Gould?
I just wanted to follow up on that. I mean, I think we have almost every Tuesday already scheduled for workshops, so I'm unclear on the scheduling. So, I mean, I have standing holds on Tuesdays and many Thursdays already. I don't mind, if we want to look at different times and add more, but I think after a certain point, if you're doing too many topics at once, it's a little mind bending.
Okay, Member Colbert.
I wanted to agree with Member Byrd. I think there are topics that the board can discuss during business hours when we're fresh. Going back a couple of years, we had school board meetings every Tuesday and work sessions every Thursday. And that allows you to plow through more issues, not have so many issues in an evening. And again, there are some topics where I agree, if it's an issue, policies surrounding, employees, something like that, where they might want to come and participate or watch. But there are many policies that we need to discuss that have not been looked at in many, many years, that I do believe, like other municipalities and other boards, including other school boards, can be handled during regular business hours.
Anybody else? Well, as a suggestion, yes, Ms. Emble.
Of course, y'all know I love policies, so I'm totally on board with that. And and I have a list already started of ones that I think you need to look at. I have an approach already. You still have a couple policies from 1993 that haven't been revised that need some revision. And so I would, start with those targeted, but I have a plan already in place.
But what I was going to suggest, given we've heard comments from some board members, not everybody, why don't you put together a list for what the first meeting would look like, and then work with each board member's aides to figure out, not that we all have, we all share aides, but work with whoever handles our calendar and look for a date when we can schedule that and times that work for everybody, and whatever block of time you come up with, just come up with a proposal and submit that, and we'll then take it with something a little bit more concrete. I know there's a ton of policies that I reviewed during the campaign that I couldn't wait for us to get to, and we still haven't gotten to, so I'm sure your list is probably not even the same as my list, so I do think we can probably make good use of that time, but let's make sure that we have a structure and an idea so the whole board can get comfortable or not comfortable with that, okay?
And if I could, with that, if you do have a list of ones you want, email me individually so that I can see if your list mesh with mine, but.
Yeah, the only reason I haven't gotten to my list yet is largely because of the volume of emails, and I'm right now knowing that I try really hard to go to bed at night without drowning, but it's not very easy, which is why I worry very much about what the legislature is proposing in terms of eliminating salaries, because I don't know who they think is going to, they think only the wealthy can run, only the wealthy's not running for these seats now. So once somebody finds out how much just pure communication there is along with the job, I don't know, really concerns me, but deal with what we can deal with. Member Felder.
Yes, I'm so glad that, thank you, Chairperson Jacobs. I'm glad that Member Byrd talked about having meetings. I'm hoping that this includes a time that we can really talk about some things that we really don't have time to talk about, even though we can publish it, because we have the agendas that we have. You know, it's just so crowded. And, you know, brain slows down after 5 o'clock. I'm serious, it does. So yeah, I don't really like 9 o'clock in the morning, but, you know, I'll consent if that's the majority of the board. But I certainly am happy that we will take out some time, council and board members, to look at our policies, because I was so excited when I went to a state workshop and I was calling Amy, and I was asking, so is that a problem? I said, no, I'm just looking for this policy because we're talking about yada, 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 yada. And I was looking at this stuff, I was like, oh my God, we haven't had time to talk about any of this. So, especially for those of us that are new, are coming onto the board, this is something they need to really, you know, we board members need to really understand the policies and be able to talk about it and discuss it. So, thank you, Member Byrd, for making that suggestion, because we need to have that time. And I don't know how we're going to do it, but I'd like to have, not Tuesday's board meeting, but I'd like maybe Thursday or something. I'm just saying, but we just have what you guys vote. I will go with the majority, but we need to be able to have time and not be rushed and really deal with our policies, because if you're telling me something in 1993, baby girl, it's 2022, okay? So anyway, thank you so much.
And before we close, I want to take a minute to recognize you, Member Felder, because when Member Byrd brought that up, I knew you were going to be jumping out of your chair here, because, and I have not forgotten that that's one of the things that you asked for from day one, is more time for us actually to schedule time that isn't even necessarily agended, so that there can be just open dialogue and conversation, and we don't get to do that nearly enough. And we don't ever get to do that outside of this forum, which most people don't realize. So we get to know how we think and why we think right here in front of the world. And actually that works out really quite well. But we just don't have enough time. And so I appreciate your suggestion. Vice Chair, you recognize.
Yeah, I was just going to agree with you there. And I think that suggestion came up when we were doing master board training way back towards the beginning, because some boards do schedule in their workshops like open discussion time, if I believe, where they can discuss things that they want to get other perspectives on, or from the board or whatever. And we have never really been able to do that except for this time at the end of our board meetings, which usually everybody's tired and ready to go home. So yeah, I think that that's something we could also incorporate into this workshop time.
All right, Vice Chair, you're recognized. I'm sorry, Vice Chair, you were recognized. Member Gould, you're recognized.
I think that one's old, Chair.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, the hour is 7:10. This meeting is now adjourned.
Good night, all.
Oh, so we have